Not gonna,
Hello,
not gonna see me.
Culture Matters podcast. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 push-ups. Four friends. We are back for the Jubilee, the 2024 New Year's Eve Jubilee. The word for the year, my word for the year is intensity. We are recording this with four friends of the Culture Matters podcast. We've been up since 4 a.m. We're going all night. And I want to introduce you all to three special people in my life. First, Mike, Mike Drop Calhoun, been up since, well, he didn't go to sleep. He actually just stood up and waited until we started this morning. He founded Board of Advisors. More than that, he's a special man with a special beard, a special mind, a special smile, and I'm excited to introduce him to two of my other special friends, Dr. David Yerkes, who's been a hospitalist for as long as I've known him and even longer, a doctor, a helper, a healer, and a good friend, great staple to the Culture Matters podcast, and of course, the one and only Matt McHale, an advisor, a mentor, a leader, of course, more than just management consulting, but a founder and a tenured business professional who's got tons to offer. Actually, if you listen to the Culture Matters podcast, I want you to go listen to episode 591 after this. That's one of the last times Matt was on. Episode 492. It's a special episode with Dr. David Yerkes. And episode 552 with Mike Calhoun. Here's a quote. I actually was so thrown off when I was doing those push-ups last second. I forgot to introduce the show with the quote. Here's my quote, and then I'm going to shut up. That's the only place you're going to learn the bottom. That's when you're going to get focused. Mike said that last night, and I thought that was pretty profound. Mike, meet David, David, Mike, Mike, Matt, Matt, Mike, Matt, David, David, Matt. Yeah, let's do it. Culture, baby. Oh,
Nice
and
to
the
meet you,
theme here
gentlemen.
is New Year's Eve, guys. Clearly, right? We're talking about our word for 2024, our words for 2025, the regrets that we have, the sorrow, the despair. I'm just kidding. Excitement. Good to see you
Matt,
guys.
David, pleasure to meet you. Do you already know each other?
I,
No,
I,
I know
Mike,
Jay.
I met you once. Matt and I have not met.
Yeah, I was gonna say, David, I think we've met or spoken, but I didn't know if you
Damn
two.
right you have. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, actually,
yeah.
yes, on the phone.
Um,
And they
on,
know each
on
other in
the
spirit. They both like me. They share that. And that's a big deal because very few do.
phone. So my question to you, Jay, is is there a strategy on the overlap here with these two guys?
Oh my God. So this is what I've learned the last few years of about from David and with David and his partner, Dr. Huff. If anyone's penetrating a value, this sorry, the word's a little visceral. Penetrating a value, the hospital market and creating increased customer experience, it's Dr. David Yerkes and Dr. Huff and Matt's background in entrepreneurship, business advisory, building relationships long term, and what he's doing now with AI. I can't wait to talk about that with you. There's great overlap as far as the character. That's an easy one.
Interesting. Well, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Matt,
Nice to meet you all.
David.
Nice to meet you too, Matt.
In fact, actually,
I can't wait to hear more.
this just came to my brain. When I first met Matt, it was we both spoke at Jumpstart Startup. Jen Groover, a friend of the Culture Matters podcast, been on the show, opened many doors for me earlier in my career. We both met almost 10 years ago there. And where I met David was in a similar type of environment for the first time in person. It was an event like where there was a stage and there was people and like it's an interesting and I'm thinking it's an interesting personally to me the value, and I'd like to ask some questions to you guys on this, like the value of being in the room. Because how I met Mike was being in a room, being on a stage, coming into contact with someone who became a best friend, who introduced me to him on July 4th. 2018. I know the date because that's easy, July 4th, 2018. But anyway, so my question to you, Matt, first is, do you remember anybody? You stay in contact with anybody from? It's two pronged from Jumpstart Startup. That's specific. Then in more general, how big of events or gatherings played in your professional career, participating or speaking over the years?
Yes, I have stayed in touch with and I think that's where I first met Edita when we spoke about her passing. I'm
Oh
pretty
man,
sure
yeah.
that is where I met her the first time. So she was definitely one person I stayed in touch with. Unfortunately, she passed away this year from cancer just a month or so ago. And obviously the person with Ed Siders, I'm still very close with him. So yeah, I think there's a number of people that I still talk to from there. And your second part of the question, yeah, I mean events like that, it's we look back on it and we appreciate events and being in person. And then with the pandemic, I think showed us how important those things are and being in person. And so now I look at them differently. They were important before and important after. But I think I appreciate being in person more. Like it's great on Zoom, being able to meet you guys on Zoom, being able to talk here. But nothing is better than meeting someone in person, sitting down, look at someone in the eye, and just have a conversation with them in person.
Yeah, this isn't actually me. This is just an AI
Yeah,
avatar of me right now.
yep.
Mike, what were you gonna say?
You can't replace face to face. There's no way
Yeah.
to do it. That's where the real bond is created, because there's so many other nuances in not just a conversation, but the body language, the vibe, the handshake, the dynamic. You get a read, you get a gut instinct and a feel for those that you want to do more with or not, right? It's a great validator. And then the environment gives you a way to see people in a different light. So whether it's their time in front of the room, their time in the audience or in the feedback loop, the time in the hallways, breaks, lunches, dinners, the evenings, having a drink at the bar, whatever, like you get all these different perspectives and lenses to be able to see people, experience people through, that helps to create relationships. And relationships in life and business is how we get things done, but we have to build them on, our value system. Like, kind of impossible to do it as well through a digital experience, but we're going to do that today through this digital experience.
Absolutely.
We're going to break all the barriers. You know what? We're going to bring up a virtual bar. We're going to take our cameras down the hallway of the house. We're going to do everything that we would normally do at an event. Jay, there's a
It's like
hallway
a
out
good
one of those
first.
doors?
Yeah, it's like a good first date, but like we're not having a baby without being in person.
I always
I
wondered
don't know
what was
why I
behind
said
that one door, and I just found out. I thought
Yeah,
it was
I'd
maybe a
I
bathroom.
give you a house tour, but I think Jenna's downstairs doing things for their family, working, but interrupt the medium there. David, I have a question to you about like the value of relationships as far as like we're all connected one person away. And the reason I wrote a little diagram because my mind was wandering. I'm like, I met David through Brad. I met Matt through Jen. I met Mike through Jeremy. And it's like, it's kind of like it was washing over me and obviously, yes, you guys haven't met yet, but I have so much confidence in all of you. And I know you all. Like, you need to know each other. And I have so much gratitude for the Brad and Jen and Jeremy. I wouldn't know any of you without them. And then I was thinking, who the hell introduced me to them? And like, I'm going to draw that. Oh, Anthony and Jen. I think that
Matt,
was,
how
oh,
long
that
have you
was,
known Jay?
About a little over 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you've known him a while.
Yep.
You've known him before Culture Matters.
Oh yes. I remember early discussions of Culture Matters and how he was the struggle that he had trying to really, put
Oh yeah.
words to the ideas and the concepts that he had. So it's really cool to watch it grow from, man, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm trying to do, to what it is today.
Mm-hmm. How long have you known him, David?
I think it was it 2021, Jay?
Yeah, it was real success. Yep.
Real Success 2021. So I think spring of 2021. So
Real Success was the event.
yes.
Where was that?
So I was in Vegas.
Mhm.
So Jay and Jenna, I believe, helped Brad host the first Real Success
It
event.
was Melissa, Brad, Adam, Mandy, Jenna, and then let's give all them the credit. I'm aloof in the back watching, and thinking and trying to say, they
Jenna
do the
was
heavy
definitely buzzing
lifting.
around,
They
buzzing
did the
around,
heavy
doing a lot of
lifting.
work. You could see.
Yeah.
Jay's hilarious to watch in an event, by the way. He's the creepiest guy at an event because he just lurks.
Observing.
Right? Yeah, he's observing, taking notes. He'll look up. He does like that half look up, like he just spotted you doing something and he's going to write it down.
That event was really unique for me. That was quite a an interesting event for me, because obviously the event was great and really took a lot away from that itself. But just I met a few people there, Jay included, obviously, that I've continued to stay in contact with and have really formed relationships with. And then I've formed relationships with people that I've met through those other people too. And just I'm almost exactly like Jay was saying, that now I have new relationships that are one person removed from the people that I met now at that event, 4 years later. So almost 4 years later. So that to me I've thought often, Jay, actually, about that one single event. And the decision, because it was an odd time. We were still in the middle of COVID, and I was working quite a bit in the hospital and going through a lot of things. And so, I was like, I need to do this. And I'm glad I did. So, because I was able to meet you and, again, several other people that have really impacted my life, and just, the relationships that I've formed from that has been impactful. So
what do you guys think makes a great event?
yeah, I think it's multifactorial. I think obviously the people that you have there, not only on the stage but in the audience, makes a huge difference. The setting obviously matters. There's so many things that go into it, and I'm not an event expert, because although I love events, I haven't been to near as many as I would like to have been to. And you guys were mentioning the value of in-person events. I love in-person events. Every single time I go to one, I come away thinking, man, I wish I did this more often. But then I don't, because of life. Life gets in the way and everything. And I'm a little bit picky about, how I spend my time going to events too, because I'm not just going to go to any event, because you're paying for it. You're taking your time away from whatever you're actually working on. And so I'm selective about what I do. But I find that even if it's like a medical, continuing medical education event, I usually think, man, I'm glad I went to that. I learned a lot of stuff there, or, I was able to meet some cool people. Usually for me, it's the people that I like to meet. So that to me is the most impactful thing.
Matt, you've been in the game for a while.
Being in person, but I think the most important thing is your plan going into it and your plan coming out of it. So you can't put the onus on the event or anybody else to make it a great event for you. You can make a great event. It doesn't matter what it is. I've been to small, little almost, nothing events that have turned out to be great because of the connections, being, in person with people and meeting them that way. But staying in touch with them after, that's the one thing I give. And obviously social media with younger generations, they have such an advantage of connecting in social media, where didn't have that when I was growing up, and lost connections over the years of people that I would love to try to connect with today. And I've been able to find some on social media and some I haven't. but I stress the importance when people are asking me, especially in a business, I say, you know, connecting with people and making sure you stay in connection with them, and making sure that you have a way to do that and facilitate that. And you know, I got a handwritten letter, a handwritten note from Jay the other day, you know, and people, you know, some people like to do that and getting back into that, or just finding ways to,
ChatGPT wrote it.
there you go.
I'm just kidding. No. It's a joke.
Jay calls himself real intelligence, not
Yeah.
artificial intelligence.
But I know I'm gonna I don't want to digress us yet, but Matt, I want to talk about AI, guys, because I believe I finally am listening to all of you around the value of artificial. I want to integrate my real intelligence with artificial intelligence. For the same reason I want to
Talked about
exercise
that
more and
last
eat
time. Yeah.
better.
Yep.
Yeah, for the same reason Adam Geiger just beat the shit out of me metaphorically, a metabolic interventionist on my exercise. Like the reason I want to exercise is to is to be more productive and more efficient. Well, AI is, I'm thinking the same way. So I don't want to digress yet, but can you finish your thought and then we could circle back maybe? Because you were talking
Uh,
about the events, how to make an event the best way
Yeah,
possible.
I think that's what it is really, you know, and it comes into, you know, because I've been to Tony Robbins events, I've been to, you know, little like local events and everything, and I've gotten out of, you know, some of the, like one was Gary Vaynerchuk did Tahoe Tech Talk, and this was before he was Gary Vaynerchuk for a lot of people, and Kevin Rose was there, and there was a bunch of people there, but there was like maybe 100 of us there. So that was it. That was a great event because it was just a small kind of gathering. They would do you know, panels and talk about things coming up, but then we'd all hang out. You know, there was a bar we go to, or doing a wine tasting, or something like that. So that turned out, you know, to this day, I'm still connected with a bunch of people from that. So it just all depends on how you're going to go into it, and what your plan is. Like I said, going in and out.
Do you remember, do either of you or anybody on the call remember traffic and conversion?
Oh yeah,
So you've been to a few of those?
I was at one of those. Yes.
I never went to one, but
I
I'm
probably
familiar
went
with
to
it.
like three of them.
Okay.
Good friends with Roland, and not so much Ryan. Ryan was a little more distant, I think, and just kind of like creating that buddyship. But Roland and I became good friends, and I went to like maybe three or four of them.
Okay.
And in reflection, looking back, I don't think I ever sat in and listened to a speaker one time because I was more interested in having conversations in that pre-function hall, just
Yep.
cruising, meeting, talking, like sitting in the actual event felt kind of not as interesting or as productive. But like
Yes.
cruise in the hall, shaking hands, kissing babies, just striking conversations. I think that was one of the coolest. It was one of the events that earned, like David was saying, that earned my time because of the available options to create conversations with real players, like real agencies and brands were showing up, but you had your emerging guys, and then you would catch like the speakers in the pre-function. Like that's where it was best to connect with them anyway. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I know what you mean. Qualifying your time to go and get out of your building, get out of your seat. It's got to be a pretty sexy proposition to do that.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned about that's kind of my favorite part of an event also, you know, just I mean, networking is, some people don't really care for that word, but you know, for me it's just building relationships and meeting new people. One of the yeah, I still remember talking to Jay at Top Golf. That's where Jay and I met. We didn't meet at the event. We met at Top Golf, which was one of the side, you know, events of, you know, for people to
Yep.
kind of get to know each other.
Yep.
And when I look at an event, that's one of the things I look at is what else do they have going on where I can actually talk to people and I can actually just get to know people and learn about them and things like that. And so Jay told me a little bit about his story, and you know, with our interaction, I thought, I want to get to know this guy a little bit more.
Mhm.
And so that was the kind of the impactful moment there. And it was, like you said, it was outside of the actual, lectures or whatever you want to call them. And I think every event I go to, that's kind of what I seek out as well, is just kind of those side conversations. And you mentioned being able to have access to the speakers. You said what makes a good event a good event. I think when the speakers come in and actually interact with the audience and aren't aloof and don't kind of pop in and pop out and don't have that "I'm too good for you" peasants attitude, that makes a huge difference for me. Because I think if you're in the audience, there's a lot of events you might go to that you might be surprised some of the people that are in the audience. And so I want to meet
Which
the
are many
audience.
times more of a real deal than who's on the stage.
Sure.
Very well. Could be, yes. And
Matt's like, I'm
so,
one of those.
yeah. So for me, being able to interact with the speakers, having the speakers interact with the audience, not just, from a stage perspective, but just, in a social setting, I think is impactful for me as well. So you asked what makes a good event. I think that could definitely play a huge role.
I like what
And that
Matt said too.
and that, that's a good.
When you said going to the event, like knowing what, having a plan. I think that's
Yeah.
what you having a plan. Because
Yep.
I'm always like, treat it like going to the grocery store. If you have
Yep.
no idea what you're going there to get, you're going to get everything you never really wanted. Or, people will leave. Like, well, what did you get out of it? Well, I don't know. Well, what did you want to get out of it? Well, I don't know. Well, you got exactly, you just got what you said. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got, I don't know, because you came with an I don't know.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And that's a the networking part of it, or meeting people. That's a skill, and especially in environments like that. That's something you really need to work on to figure that out. One, you want to try to meet as many people as possible, but you don't want to come off as just, oh, I'm just me, and jumping around, meeting people. You certainly want to try to make connections. So trying to make a good connection, figure all those things out in a short window, in a short span, because they're there to meet other people too. So you want to respect people's times. All those things. It's a skill that you can develop over time, and the more you do it. And that's why I always encourage people to go to small local things and go those, or if you want to speak somewhere, just go start speaking for free at any of those events, because those are things that are going to pay off and be able to help you in these bigger events.
Yeah, there's a big difference between networking and connecting.
Mm.
What's the
Yeah.
difference?
Well, networking usually has very, very little lasting or meaning in the time invested. When you connect, think about it. If you had a chain and there's links, networking is like bumping them together, but like connecting is, in a sense, linking those two links. There's an art, though. You hit it on the head. There's an art to becoming memorable on the first point of contact, because everyone can go network at an event or a social. But if you understand how to become memorable, now you've kind of connected to a degree where there's a lasting impression. And even Charlie Sinna, which is a conversation you created, Jay, for me, just even using his tech, creating a way to anchor yourself with these individuals and provoking value between them, because most people have their BS-ometer up at all times.
I think you guys can click my thing. Can you do that on the phone, on the thing? Is that possible on the
Yeah.
video? Pull it up real quick, Matt.
Back it up.
Because can you see it? Are you able to see that? For anyone that's listening, go to YouTube and type in my name in this episode. Matt McHale, Dr. David
Just
Yerkes,
so
Mike Calhoun, New
focused on
Year's
your
Eve.
face.
Is
Yeah.
there a way to click it? Or
Not really
Yeah.
like
focused.
that?
Oh,
Is
to
that it?
actually,
I want to say I was told that you could do that over the camera. Like you
Yeah, but
could
you gotta kind of
put
like,
your QR code, or I just
Got it
don't know
just
how
right to get it focused. So
yeah. Let me
yeah.
see.
I just have the shitty computer, or
Let me see if it'll recognize it. Yeah.
Because I'm curious if it would pull up over the
There you go. I got it
camera.
that time.
What's on
So
your
like see what pops up.
I got it
Yeah,
that time.
isn't that cool? Guys, I think I'll share this with the audience. I'm so rusty at networking because I've spent so many years behind the scenes architecting culture that like I wanted to get this technology or something. I have a relationship. I feel connected to Charlie because of my relationship with him as a consequence of my relationship with Brad. So of course I want, and I know him as a man and husband. I trust him, like, 25 years married. I know his story. Like I like him. He works hard. So obviously I want to use his tech because I like him. I feel connected to him. But like I went to a networking thing with Brian Hess, who's coming on next, and I didn't know what to do with my hands because I haven't talked to people in years.
Right.
So I just went up to this guy. I said, "Hey, I'm Jay. You don't know me. I don't know what to do with my hands." This is me. Like I just told the truth. Like there's a lot of people here. Looks like there's an OnlyFans model there, and
what
I
are
don't know
these
what he
things
does.
hanging off my body?
And that was my opener. Like I just like feel such social anxiety. I got this technology, and now it shows people what I'm about. And when I ended up meeting 12 people, I had deep conversations, and it was a lot of fun. You couldn't get me out of there after. Uh,
Yeah.
it was really therapeutic too.
The only issue you might have with that is the growing distrust of QR codes because people are using it so much to cyber hack now.
Oh, can you elaborate on that?
Just be aware of it.
Oh shit. What do you mean?
So
They
I
can
think
take my
it's
shit?
people be a little more trusted because it's your QR code, you're holding it there, but QR codes are being used to easily hack into people's phones. So if you go like you see cyber QR codes when you're going to
Yeah.
parking garages and things of that nature, people are putting the stickers over the actual true
Oh wow.
code and using it, or the Amazon scam where something will show up and it's something you didn't order and there's a QR code on it and
Oh
people scan that thing and they're going to try to find out what and then that's so
It's funny
where
you bring
QR
that up.
code you don't know.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about that for a second. That's
Well, that's
interesting.
because I get nervous when somebody's like, let me send you my V card. I'm like, no, just text me your name and your email. I don't want your V card because I
That's
don't trust anybody's V card. Not that I don't trust them, but I don't trust like wherever that came from, what's on their phone. Like, you know what I mean?
yep.
It's funny that you bring that up because I think right now you have all your bank accounts, you have crypto, you have all kinds of stuff on your phone these days. Like your life is on
Oh,
your
yeah.
phone. You got to be
Yep.
super careful how you're receiving anything on that phone. That was I didn't even think about that. The stickers over the QRs.
Yep.
Sneaky, sneaky little. Ooh.
Yeah. So if you're out in public, don't trust QR codes. Yeah. They usually have like a QR code
Be
or
scratching, sniffing all the QR codes
yeah.
now. Is this real?
Kind of like with the ATMs where you can walk up now and try to make sure there's not a card swiper on it. Now we're doing that with the QR code. But yeah.
If you guys were to advise, what's been some of your worst experiences networking with others, in public?
Well, I think, and David mentioned it, and I think just the term networking, and then we kind of elaborated on it. Mike went a little more into it. So the term networking, how we think of networking instead of connecting, where you have that, and I'm not going to call out any certain people or what they do, but there's certain people at networking events where they're just there throwing cards at everybody they can and just kind of sliming the room for lack of a better way to explain it. And I think that's that networking part where it's like I'm gonna go and just people trying to sell me something or push their stuff on it versus going out and making true connections and being able to sit there and have a real conversation with somebody. So I think that's where I love networking events, but I think that's what and I don't want to speak for you, David, but I think that's when you kind of said some people don't like that term, and I think that's where that comes from.
What's your word for 2025, Matt? If you don't have one, what would it be?
Uh, Good question. Come back to me. I'll think about it.
Does anybody want to take that? Mine is intensity, and you can listen to it on episode 675. I pontificate on why my word is intensity. David?
Yeah, so my word is similar to that. I love the word intensity, and I love the intensity in you, Jay. And I think
Thanks.
for me, my word has always been tenacity, and especially for 2025, that is something that that's a characteristic that I want to lean on for 2025 for myself.
Why?
Well, because I've got some things that I need to stay tenacious with, and that is, you know, as you know, with my life, there's a lot of different things going in a lot of different directions, and I don't want to get complacent. I could get complacent, and I don't think that is, I don't think that's something that's in my nature, and I think I want to lean on my tenacious nature that that has served me well in the past, and really kind of make sure that I stay on track with everything and prioritize the things that need to be prioritized. So for me, tenacity is it's kind of like a word that I feel like kind of encompasses a lot of the characteristics that I want to from a business standpoint. Now, from a personal standpoint, there's other things, but from a business standpoint, from the things that I'm working on that I want to grow, tenacity is the key word for me.
Did you have one for 2024?
Me?
I didn't.
Oh,
No, David. Yeah. What would you
No, I
label
didn't.
it? What would you call it?
Oh, if I had to look back on 2024, what would the word be? 2024 was a whirlwind, a little bit. So it was, I mean, it was a wonderful year. It went by, I would say it was a whirlwind last year, or this past year. It was all good things. But there was a lot of things that took a lot of my time that I will be able to hopefully kind of start to narrow some of that down and kind of prioritize some other things. So, yeah, 2024 was a whirlwind. That's the best way I can describe it.
What's your podcast called, and why'd you start it?
Okay, so Daring Greatly is the name of the podcast. I started it because a few different reasons. I'm curious about people, and I like, similar to how we met, you told me your story, and it really was intriguing to me. My world was so small. I think a lot of our worlds are smaller than we realize. And every time I meet somebody that has an interesting story, my world expands and my knowledge expands and my understanding of the world expands. And it doesn't have to be somebody it's even better if it's somebody I don't necessarily align with on all the ideas. And it just, I've noticed that over the years of having conversations with people. I love having conversations with people and learning from them and growing. And then when I became a father, I started really thinking about what it what drives why am I so driven? Why are other people so driven? And why do different siblings end up in different places? And what is it in our experiences that makes us who we are? And all of these things and choices and all that stuff. So I wanted to just explore that with people and have interesting conversations with people and learn from them. And um, so that's where the podcast came from. So the idea is, let's hear about people's stories. What have they done right? What have they done wrong? And what are they working on now that's exciting to them?
what was the name of it again?
It's called Daring Greatly.
Why daring? Daring?
So Daring Greatly, I was, one of my favorite quotes is from Teddy Roosevelt, the Man in the Arena speech. And at the end, he talks about the man in the arena. He's blood, sweat, and tears, and he's It's not the critic that counts, it's the man that's in the arena, right? And at the end, he says that even if he fails, at least he failed while daring greatly. And that to me was like kind of the encapsulation of that quote, of what, you know, what we really should be striving for is the effort that we put in, the struggle. And
You see it?
yes.
Can you see that, Matt?
Yep.
Do you want to read it?
I thought the recording ended there for a second. Or I thought the
David, you want to
ended.
read it?
Yeah, let me see if I can. It's a little small for me. Can you see it well enough to read, Jay?
Oh, is that better?
There we go. Yeah, I can read it. It's not the
Yeah.
critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, but because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at his best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Goosebumps every time.
That is a great one.
Good. That's really good. That's really, really good.
So that's where the name of the podcast comes from. It's not necessarily like a perfect association, but it's very inspiring to me. And so that's what I'm looking for, is inspiration and, you know, being informed and inspired and trying to do better every day.
How old are you, David?
I'm 43.
That's right. You're at an interesting intersection where you're kind of in that transition between warrior and statesman type of scenario, right?
Yes.
Because I hear a lot of the enthusiasm and like the drive and the energy, the infatigability, right? The relentlessness. But I feel like you're also on the precipice of learning the art of focus over force, right? Streamlining and becoming slicker and smoother in your strategy to get the outcome that you're looking for with less effort and more leverage through relationships and things like that, like we're talking about here today. Yeah, you're in a good spot.
Matt, if you had a word for 2024, what would it have been? I think mine's resentment.
Why is that?
Rule number 9 in Beyond Order, I believe, is do not let yourself become resentful, deceitful, and arrogant. And I think when I learned how to listen, I forgot how to speak. So I'm in the process of integrating right now. Everything. Mike put it really well a handful of weeks ago about like I went really. It's like when you're a spy and you go undercover, you can lose your identity. It's a known psychological fact.
Sure.
Well, mastery requires immersion, and you created, you decided and dedicated yourself to learning a certain skill and investing in certain relationships. It doesn't mean you forgot how to speak. It just means like you were busy mastering a certain skill, and then there becomes a time where you weave other skills into your foundation. You know, you're now, it's like you're coming back to the surface and you're weaving back in the ability for connecting, introduction. Like even this year, you guys probably saw it. He's been creating a lot more conversations between his relationships than directly with his relationships, which I feel has been a fascination for you. You're getting a new joy out of that activity.
I feel called to that. It's like it's a part of, it's like having an appendage and not
I think
using it. It's
Matt's
like, why
making
is,
us wait.
what did Matt say?
Matt's making us wait on his word.
No, I was just listening to Jay.
We're
So
all on pins and needles for Matt's word.
my word for 24 or 25, which one would you like?
Ooh, which one would you like to
Oh,
share?
this guy's, he's a pro. Look at him. He's inching us along. Dangle, 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 dangle. Do you guys, do you want me to spell it?
Yes. Sounds like
One word, one letter at a time.
sounds like it's a movie.
Yeah.
I would say my word for 2024 was growth. Because I started some new ventures and started doing some new things that I had to learn a lot more, and I'm still learning a lot more to be able to do them and make them successful. So, I exited a few companies over the years and kind of in the process of starting some new things. So kind of in that in between stage of that, and then with 2025, I think my word will be consistency of doing the things I need to do to make the things happen that I need to have happen to complete kind of where I'm going with this.
Growth, you said.
Growth, yes.
By the way, I made a mistake. It's rule 9 is do not, if old memories still upset you, write them down carefully and completely. And beyond order, rule 11 is do not let oneself become resentful. I've been studying resentful Stephen Langer. I've been studying that book because I'm doing this lecture series on it. And it's interesting how if you don't use it, you lose it. I'm already starting
Mhm.
to forget some of the rules. And I'm like studying the damn thing so much.
Matt, what's
I w-
2025?
I would have went reflection for 2024 if I was more of a personal because I had
Huh,
some loss
yeah.
and different things happen over the past year that really kind of makes you stop in your tracks and pause to kind of take a an overall assessment of where things are in life and where what things happen and especially in the last few months I've lost more than more people in my life than I would want to who passed away. So those are kind of things, especially at my age. I'm a little older than you than you, David. So um, I'm that statesman that Mike talked about. So
He's 43. You said 42,
Is
right?
43. Yeah,
So
43.
you're 43. So he's 44.
no, I am no. Oh,
What is 25's word?
consistency. That would be 25.
It's a good one.
Consistency kills the cat, doesn't it?
Yes.
is there anyone you want to dedicate this episode to, Matt, that is no longer with us?
I would probably say my friend Donna passed away a few weeks ago. Unfortunately.
I in this whole day has been dedicated to our great friend of the Culture Matters podcast, John Schwartz, who's been on the show 9 times. Okay, like you guys, he's been with me since the very beginning of the show, since the beginning of my journey. September 16th, he had a heart attack, and he was on the show last year on New Year's Eve.
I watched that. I don't know if you guys watched that, but yeah, I watched that. So that definitely was very, um, that where reflection comes there because you have him talking about this year and what's going to be different and where he will be today. So
Yeah, it's crazy.
you know, God laughs when we make plans, kind of thing. So, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So,
What's profound about John? I'm at the ceremony, the funeral.
wait,
Everyone had Eagles jerseys on. Now listen, I know they stink as a team. Okay,
go.
sorry. Go Birds. So everyone has the jersey, and the you can't fit any more people in that building. And at the very end, the owner of the funeral home came out and said, I want everyone to just hold on another minute here. I need to tell you all something very important. It got very quiet. And he said, there's only one thing worse than an Eagles loss, and that's a Cowboys win. And everybody laughed so hard, man. This is who John was as a person. So I go to the dinner after, and it's, huge hall, and so many people, everybody I talked to was like, he was my advisor. He helped me do this. He helped me do that. It was the coolest thing ever. So Donna, rest in peace. And like the whole point of the New Year's Eve Jubilee, as Mike puts it, is this is in the spirit of Soren Kierkegaard. Life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forward. So, for all our listeners, what can you look back and reflect, like Matt's saying, on your life and strive to moving forward? Who's in your camp, right? All of you guys are in my life and in my camp, and could be for another 10 years, another 50 years, or who knows. And so, if you're listening to this podcast, how can I want you to share this with a friend that you care about that needs some perspective. And just Matt and David and Mike, if you could share with our audience the one place people should connect with you to get to know you, like the fastest way to connect with you. Matt, if you want to go first.
They could probably just go to mattmchale.com or go to my Instagram, Matt McHale. Look me up there. LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all those places.
David?
Yeah, for me, it's probably one of the social media platforms. I monitor Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So if you DM me there, it's Dr. David Yerkes, Yerkes, all one word on pretty much all of those. So Dr. DavidYerkes on pretty much any of those social platforms. So I monitor that. I respond to people. So yeah.
Mike?
Well, I just had to look this up because I don't go on some. It looks like I'm Mike Calhoun on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, Mike Calhoun. That's easy, right? And I'm Mike Calhoun on Twitter too. On X.
Follow
It's
me
not Twitter
on
anymore. That's how behind I am.
Follow Mike, follow David, follow Matt, follow me, _the Culture Man on Instagram. Like my stuff, watch everything I do. Don't even do anything for yourself. Just watch everything I do and live vicariously through my success.
Just go to my podcast on Jay's podcast to learn all about me, right?
Episode 552, I believe 640. Yes. And I got to memorize the other one. I keep slipping my mind. I'm losing. It was rule 11. Rule 12 is be grateful despite your suffering. Rule 1, do not
Rule
carelessly
book guys.
denigrate. Yeah, I'm just like, all right.
Rules
Anyway,
were only
I'm
made
hanging
to
up.
break.
That's right.
Thank you all for listening on the Culture Matters podcast. Actually, it's funny. That's rule number 1 in Beyond Order. That's the whole premise of the rule. Do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or creative achievements. We'll see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.
David, pleasure.
Great talking, guys.